Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. And it is episode 7, How to Preserve Your Energy as an Entrepreneur.
Letting go of anxiety.
Oh my gosh.
If you have it, of course,
Yes.
or don't have it.
Anxiety has been coming up in my realm a lot. I did a mastermind last night with We Succeed. I collaborate with Ellen Smo. And then I also was at the Coffee and Connections. Hey, Stephanie, it's good to see you. Coffee and Connections this morning. And the topic of the day was anxiety. And I really, really love this subject because it is my own personal history. Ever since I can remember when I was a little girl, I always had anxiety. When I woke up in the morning, my head would start racing of all the things. I seemed to be afraid of everything. And I remember having panic attacks to where I couldn't breathe. And I actually got on we're all free from this medication of Xanax at a very young age. And it was something that seemed to plague me forever until NLP understood really what was going on in the psychology of the mind to create the anxiety. And we see this a lot in entrepreneurs is that because you're doing something that's a little different, you're going into grain, you're building systems and processes you've never done, or you're going out there and creating something and you have all this stuff coming together at the same time, we see a lot of anxiety. The problem is if you get that unchecked for a long period of time, it creates adrenal fatigue, which lead to burnout.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I see it a lot in women. I don't know. Do you see it in men as well?
Not as much, but I think it's something we don't talk about. I think it's something that isn't, it's not as openly talked about. So what is anxiety? So let's talk a little bit about it.
And where does it come from? Well, from our point of view, a lot of times anxiety is misdiagnosed because a lot of times it's unresolved fear. So a lot of people will have symptomology of anxiety where they feel that tension, they feel the stress all the time because one of the prime directives of the unconscious mind is to preserve the body. And prime directive is to present information to the conscious mind to pay attention of unresolved negative emotions.
To wake up to it.
Be
aware of it.
And so we are not trained of how the mind works. And so we feel tension and anxiety, and it's just communication from the unconscious mind's like, hey, pay attention. There's stuff here from your past that is unresolved, and I'm presenting it to you to pay attention.
I think a lot of people struggle with public speaking anxiety or social anxiety. That's something that I think a lot of people have talked to us about. We've had a few clients overcome that, and and I think it's interesting how anxiety is very similar to excitement. We're not sure sometimes, are we excited or are we anxious feeling? It kind of depends on maybe the context, of course. So one thing that I know in business, especially being an entrepreneur and multiple different people running teams all over the place, and everybody's pretty independent, working with freelancers, etc. What can happen a lot of times is our focus, right?
Yes.
I hear all the time say, they go, I've got to make payroll. Ooh. They go, I got bills coming up. I've got the mortgage due and I have to do this, right? I need to make this. If I don't, I don't know what's going to happen. And so a lot of times, if just listen to that language, right?
Listen to the language.
I like to think we're neurolinguistics. It's
all about
it's all about language, right? Language. How do we gauge the language we're using? And language is just a gauge. So if we say those things, what are we focused on, right?
Exactly.
Are we focused on not making payroll? Are we focused on debt? But we really should be focused on revenue or income. So we like to reframe our clients, get them thinking about something that's not what they don't want. Because if I were to ask you guys, don't think of a blue tree, what are you thinking about?
What are you thinking about?
I know some of you guys have heard us say this in trainings, and you're thinking exactly of that, a blue tree. If I said, don't think of a pink $100 bill, are you thinking of a pink $100 bill to create? Most of us have never seen that. So what we focus on, we get. So let's talk about how to bring that into conscious awareness.
And the interesting thing is that focus actually is communication directly to your body, intelligence, the unconscious mind. So whatever you focus on, the pictures, the sounds, the feelings, the taste, smells, the self-talk, the internal dialogue, the things that are you saying to yourself is giving direct instructions to what your body needs to do. which is behavior, but it's also symptomology or physiology. And so whenever you are,
Sorry,
what's going on?
computer's gonna.
Oh,
die.
there we go. Yes, we're going to have a dying computer. There was a,
That wouldn't be good. There was a cord unplugged.
So whenever you feel yourself having anxiety, it's a good tall tale sign that you're focusing on something that you don't want. Yep. Listen to that again. When you feel yourself having anxiety, and listen to your language, because your language will tell all. Most likely you're either making a picture, or you're making a sound, or you're having a feeling, or you're talking to yourself in a negative way, and it creates the physiology of anxiety in the body. The mind is directly communicating to the body, and the body will respond. So people that have chronic anxiety, most likely they have a lot of fear in the past that they haven't resolved, and they've trained the mind to focus on what they don't want. I know this very, very well.
Really good at an untrained mind. Some of us just have a really
they're greatly trained at
untrained mind.
They don't want. The problem is that their unconscious minds tensing up, making them feel anxious because yes, and the heart is beating because it's trying to give you a warning.
It's a sign
to focus on what you want.
Mind, or get to the conscious mind to say, hey, wake up. Let's focus on what we want.
The wake up. And see, the thing is that people that are very trained to focus on what they don't want, it's a feedback loop. And so they focus on what they don't want. So anxiety, they focus on what they don't want, and they're over and over and over again. And so like start paying attention to the stuff that triggers your anxiety, because I guarantee you there was a flash of a picture or a sound, or you're talking to yourself in a negative way that created that feeling in the body. And start paying attention to that, because you can shift it very quickly.
Absolutely. Hey, Christina, how are you? So if we're talking about preserve energy as an entrepreneur and letting go of anxiety. We talked a little bit about this a few weeks back, and we're just kind of reintroducing for those of you that may have challenges around public speaking anxiety, social anxiety,
sales anxiety, telephone calls anxiety,
any anxiety,
letting go of control anxiety, delegation anxiety. I mean, the list goes on, because anxiety is a secondary response of something they don't want to do usually, because you're focusing on what you don't want.
What's up, Brian?
So your wish is my command, right?
Absolutely.
And so the body will respond to what you're focusing on. Another thing to consider too is if your belief systems, I know we talked about this briefly before, but it all comes together, is that if your belief systems don't support the action you're taking, you may feel anxiety.
Yep.
Right?
Which means we're probably in a comfort zone. We've created a zone that may be a challenge to get out of it because it's so comfortable. And we're like, well, I'll stay here. And this anxiety, this feeling, this emotion will give me something to do. Meanwhile, it'll keep me away from and distract me to keep doing what I know I need to do. So many business owners do that, right? We're supposed to go out and make sales. By the way, most of us, if you are working for yourself, you're first and foremost a salesperson. I was talking to some other people about this morning. You're first and foremost, you're a salesperson, all right? Then you're a web developer, then you're a coach. You're first a salesperson, then fill in the gap of whatever you do. And so many of us forget about this. It doesn't matter what we don't have sales, we don't have clients. It doesn't matter our skills and talents. So if we have sales anxiety, then let's focus specifically on what we want. What do we want to get out of it? So Deb, something you talk about when you get anxiety is maybe you're overwhelmed. You got all these things. You wake up in the morning, your mind's racing. You got 50 things you got to do, and you know you don't have enough time to get them all done. So start with a priority list, right? Write them down. Get it down on paper.
Just get it out on paper, or do a word.
Mind dump it, right?
Right.
Get it out of the mind, and then you can really start to look at and get a visual perspective of, okay, what's a high priority, right? What's the next most important thing? So, and I know we do this with entrepreneurs, right? We are going, but it's like the day took over. And then when we have day anxiety, the day took over, and now we're just anxious because maybe we didn't get as many things done as we should have.
Yes,
or
the night
wanted
before.
to, or needed to.
So, and like the thing, I used to get tons of anxiety in the morning, and then I would get it at night before I went to bed, because then I didn't get all the things I needed to get done. By the way, when you're in the feedback loop of anxiety, you're not thinking at a high level. You're not able to problem solve. You're not able to make good decisions. And so it's a really bad state to be in. And so one of the things that we would do at nighttime for me is to do hypnosis. Is a really, really powerful way to calm down the body. I literally imagine at nighttime that I would take my list of all the things that I needed to do, and I would either write it down too on top of that, just so I could have that completion. But I would also like imagine it into a book, and then closing the book and locking it away, and then imagining that I'm floating up above myself and putting it into a bookcase that was going to hold it beautifully throughout the night. And then I said to my unconscious, when I wake up in the morning, to be a trigger for me to go up there and grab that book and bring it back down, and then we can work on those things.
Begin again.
You can do all kinds of exercises like this. Another thing I want you to consider that we didn't cover so far about anxiety is some people are motivated by it. So there's a thing called away from motivation.
It's the away from motivation. The ones that say, I get really motivated right before a test the next day.
Right? Under stress.
Or I perform under pressure.
Or I'm creative more under stress. If you have that belief or story that you tell yourself,
because it is a belief,
then you may be doing a feedback loop of anxiety that way, because the only way that you get motivated to do something is by feeling that tension of anxiety.
And though that may work for you, or you may think it may work for you, we invite you to maybe try something new, something different, right? Maybe a little preparation, a little bit of more pre-forward thinking. And that will definitely lessen the anxiety. So when we create anxiety specifically around business, sales, and things that we need to get done, focus specifically on it turning out unsuccessfully, turning out bad, right? We're thinking of debt, poverty, instead of the lack of the opposite, right? Abundance, wealth.
So when I used to, in the beginning, when I started learning how to do sales from this magic man over here, he's incredible with sales, and I learned some of the best things from you. And this was after NLP, but I forgot to use the tools in the beginning. And then I'm like, what am I doing? I have amazing anxiety, because I would pick up the phone and freeze and losing my words and having marbles in my mouth, not knowing the right thing to say. And then I would have this fear of being humiliated, embarrassed, and looking stupid. So the problem is, again, remember, your unconscious mind is taking instructions of all the thoughts you think in your mind. And so I was creating this story that I ended up creating for myself until I changed the story.
We recently had a client that would say, man, I hate making calls. I hate making follow-up calls. They don't even really like making calls to their friends. They'd rather kind of hide behind text messaging, which that's another episode, hiding behind text messaging.
Yes.
So this person would get on the phone, and before they'd even dial it, or they'd start to dial, they'd be like, oh, I hope they answer. I hope they don't answer. Or they would even be calling them back, and they'd be like, oh, I don't really want to answer. I don't want to answer. So you're already focused on what you don't want. You don't want the client to pick up, or you don't want this person to pick up the phone. And a lot of times you do, and then you're like, oh, you're stuck with that call. Put in the comments below if that's you. Yes. It's okay. We're just going to call you out a little bit.
Or what about public speaking?
Or maybe you know someone. This doesn't have to be you. This could be someone else.
Maybe you go networking, or you're putting yourself out there and you're doing public speaking. I know that Ellen and I were talking about this the other day, and she said it was 30 or 40%. And then I also heard Don Miller talking about public speaking is like 50% of people rather, we're all from this, die than get up in front of an audience, because they're so scared of was it public humiliation?
Public humiliation.
Right? Looking stupid or saying the wrong thing.
What will
or
people
freezing up.
I say the
They're
wrong
going to think that I talk funny. I used to have that one too. All of the ones I used to have. And so I was creating this movie, a whole week before I had to get up in front of people. I would create this movie of all the things to have happen. And I made myself freak out. I literally would go into flight or fight, and I would be anxious all night and not be able to sleep. And so I did this pattern until I said, this is enough, and so we started using the tools of NLP. So one of the things that you can do is change your focus.
Yep. It's
really, really easy.
And there's studies out there that 93% of worry, doubt, fear, danger, 90% of this made up facade in our mind of all these things that could go wrong, there's only 7% that's justifiable.
Like
only
actual
7.
danger of you walking across the street and something happening, or driving in a car, you're all free from this. something
imaginary
happens.
illnesses, delete, delete, delete. All these different things that we create and conjure up in our mind that tends to create our reality. So think about that when we're getting anxious. Write down what we're actually thinking about, what we're focused on, and we're making in our minds. I have a feeling most people, they're making some pretty negative pictures,
Yes.
and they may not even be aware of it.
According to Dr. Milton Erickson, he said that all kinesthetic feelings, so the feelings like the emotions you have, is derived by an internal or external auditory or visual kickoff trigger.
Usually visual.
So which means there's a lot of pictures that are going on in people's heads or external triggers, visual trigger.
Easy for her to say.
That are kicking off these negative emotions. So start paying attention to it. And this study in Pennsylvania University was talking about, we're all free from this, but people are like imaginary illnesses, right? Well, if you keep worrying about getting sick, your unconscious mind will take that on as a suggestion and you will get sick.
And we've had clients in the past that we were coaching, they instantly created something and then they were actually instantly uncreated at will. It's interesting how powerful the mind is, isn't it?
If you think that your kids are going to have troubles, then they will. If you think your spouse is going to cheat on them or cheat on you, they probably will, because you'll end up creating behavior that happen, or you'll push them away to where they'll leave you.
Because we're projecting on them.
Yes.
Right? My unconscious mind, my behavior, my beliefs, everything, I'm just projecting on her, and vice versa. She is constantly projecting on me.
Yes, we do.
And resolve anything that is going on between us and me. If I resolve what's in me, then she doesn't bother me with that particular issue.
If you project on your clients, if you focus on them not having the money, they won't.
Yep.
If you focus on freezing in front of people, you will.
If you don't like the clients you have now, chances are clear out the projections in you and you'll have better clients. It's interesting. That's a really important one. We've learned this through coaching people because, when you start out, you're willing to take on any client. I talked about this a few ago. And you take on these clients and then you realize like, damn, man, that person, that client's not my niche. They're not really the ideal client I really want to work with. And then when you start working with them, you get a better client. And then you clear out stuff in you and then you get another better client. That client's really, they've got money, they're easy to work with. They're actually fun. We learn from each other. That's a great projection. So
we got great news for you. All of this can be changed. It just takes a little practice and the right tools. So we have a mind hack today. We do a couple of them, or actually lots of them. Clearing out negative emotions with the timeline is super, super powerful for releasing anxiety just off the bat. But we do have a really cool strategy that you can implement today and get the results. Also, we have a hypnosis training coming up at the end of this month, which is fabulous for self-hypnosis,
performance, sleep,
and letting go of anxiety and installing confidence and being clear with your words. Great communicator. So there's all different mind hacks that you can do. So this is one that's really easy that you can learn right now. So it's called the anxiety model, which you can go, what you do is you figure out specifically what it's about. You have to figure out the one thing that's triggering you.
So an example, we had a gal that said, she's like, I'm anxious. And I said, about, what?
What?
She goes, everything. We're like, whoa, what kind of life is that?
All the things in the world.
It was hard for me to
anxiety.
imagine. So I said, what specifically?
By the way, that's a universal.
What specifically are you anxious about? And she said, this wedding coming up, or my wedding. I can't remember if it's her wedding or someone else's wedding. And she was imagining this wedding turning out extremely unsuccessful. She was like, what if this goes wrong and this, and I already having problems with these group, and then this vendor won't work. It's like, oh my gosh, I think it's a disaster. Whoa, where's your focus? What are you focused on? And so when she started the process, focusing on everything turning out successfully, the wedding come together, which 90% of them always do, and everything perfectly come together on the day, she realized the anxiety disappears. It just evaporated. It was as if it was never there.
Listen. Anxiety is a warning sign to focus on what you want.
It's a warning sign. It's like a warning sign like this. It goes, wake up!
Ouch.
Focus on what you want.
Focus! Serious.
Jumped or scared. Sorry. It was a warning. It was a wake-up call.
So what do we do? Okay, so and I've done this with public speaking with myself because sometimes I still get a little anxiety, and that's okay. Whenever you're doing something new, it's have anxiety. So you got to retrain your mind. So what you do is figure out what specifically is bringing you in the anxiety. And then you ask yourself, what do you want instead? Right?
What do you want instead? What
we
would you
talked about this
rather
before.
have than that thing?
And then you imagine yourself floating out past the successful completion
Of the
event of which you're anxious, and turn around and look towards now.
Of which you thought you were anxious. Yeah.
So we'll say that again.
You guys are getting this, right?
Yeah. So figure out what you're
That's
anxious
right.
about. Let's say that there's something that you're going to have a talk tomorrow, or maybe you're making some sales calls, and you could do this right before you get on the phone. You float up 15 seconds past the successful completion.
Or minutes. 15 minutes would work
Or
too.
yeah, seconds or minutes. Did I say minutes? Whatever. Past the successful completion of which you thought you were anxious, and turn around and look towards now. So try it.
So think of something you're specifically anxious about. Float out past the event. 15 minutes past the successful completion. Turn around and look at yourself.
And the anxiety will disappear. Now here's the catch.
If it didn't disappear and you still have this feeling, then guess what?
You're doing your old thing.
You're still focused on what you don't want.
You're doing the old pattern.
You have to
So
create.
Stop it.
The imagination, you have to create it happening successfully in your mind.
So you can ask yourself, what do I want instead? So I want to speak clearly, and the audience is roaring and they're happy and they're coming. Like if you're a coach, they're happy to come talk to me and they want to sign up for my program. If it's a sales call, the person is happy and they're signing on the contract's dotted line because they're like, yes, I've been looking for this my entire life. I'm ready to go
They're
today.
excited to talk
The credit
to you.
card is in the hand.
They're
You
like,
can feel the
yes.
abundance coming from the universe. You're like, yes,
It's energy.
awesome. Right? Or whatever it is for you, whatever you're anxious about.
If you're focused on something negative, like a bill, or a
yes,
mortgage, or rent, or something coming up due, say, what do I want instead? I want to go create a contract. I want to go create money, and then focus completely on that, and then turn around and turn around and face now, and it disappears.
the anxiety will disappear if you're imagine it finished.
Completing successfully in your mind, you can't not feel anxiety.
Exactly.
You
And
won't
so
feel it.
the thing is that people will do this, the anxiety will go away, but then automatically they'll start focusing on what they want. And so you just do it over and over. Unconscious mind needs a little repetition. And so you do it over and over and over again until you start focusing on what you
It's
want.
a fun game.
It's a
Play
fun
this game.
game.
Because most of us, if we haven't had a trained mind, or we aren't prone to focus on what we want, we tend to create a lot of stuff that we don't want. And that's not bad. It's just where our focus is. It's just what we're focused on. It's not bad. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just look at our focus. And if our focus is there, chances are we're going to get it. We just have some clients that are amazing at creating bad stuff. That's not bad. They're just great at focusing on things they don't want. That's all.
And if you still do have anxiety, come talk to us and we'll help you break stuff at the 7-day practitioner training for sure. Because we'll let go of all the stuff that's creating that anxiety and all the belief systems, or come to the hypnosis training.
You can break through that.
Yeah,
pretty
you can break
easily.
through it. I did.
A little bit of reprogramming, get away from the programming.
Yes.
It's easy. You can let it go.
So share this, please, and also invite people to our Yager training community. We want to build a community. Also, check out our YouTube channel. This is where you can find all the videos that we're doing all in one place. And thank you so much. We love you guys, and stay tuned on Friday. We have something new coming up.
Success, wealth, and happiness. Focus on that.
Yes.
Have an awesome rest of the Wednesday.
Thank you.
See ya.